Hello and welcome to Sidequest. This is our weekly video game show here at Geekverse. I'm your host, Dylan Must, and I have with me the Chicken Chaser, Kirklin Patzer. I know how are you feeling, but for the viewers, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm excited to talk about some Xbox showcase stuff, even though I'm feeling a little bit under the weather right now. But no, I'm happy to be here. This can be a fun episode.
Right on.
Chicken Chaser's back. It's been a long time coming.
It's back. The reputation's back. Yeah, today's episode is going to be a fun one. We have two things, really, just some games we've been playing as per usual. And then, the main head honcho here is the Xbox Developer Direct, which happened last week, which gave us a bunch of information on Forza Horizon 6, Fable, Beast of Reincarnation, and then a surprise fourth game in Kiln. So we're going to dig into all of that. But just starting it off, I'm going to toss right over to you, Kirklin. Why don't you tell me about some of the games you've been playing? Because, yeah, like you were saying before, it's been a while since you've given me one of these updates. So I want to know what the heck you've been playing.
Yeah, I've been saving a couple juicy ones for you. I'm excited to talk to you about. And starting right off the hop, I over the Christmas break, I had 2 weeks off and didn't do a whole lot of school stuff because I was just taking the time to enjoy my time off. And I, for whatever reason, just wanted to jump into some Half-Life. So I had purchased the Black Mesa. It's like the fan-made it's so incredibly well done. I highly recommend it. I do think that people, like, if you've never played Half-Life at all, although like Black Mesa is just a really great remaster and remake, I still think like you should probably play that OG just to like even truly appreciate the advancements that they did going from the original Half-Life to Black Mesa. I thought it was like a 1-for-1 like remake, and until I was stuck at this one section, so I just like pulled up like a Half-Life walkthrough, and like they completely redesigned like some of like the little level areas and whatnot. But no, I absolutely love that Half-Life game. It's probably like the original Half-Life was probably one of the first Steam games I ever played, like back in the OG days. And yeah, the sounds and the creatures, the creature sounds too. I feel like the sound design is something that's just so nostalgic for me in that game in particular. When you're just like going down corridors, you just hear the little like face crawler things just leap at you. But no, I absolutely love that game so much, and I flew through it. I think I rolled credits at like 7 or so hours, but honestly, like 2 or 3 sessions, like I was going pretty hard in that game, and didn't really find like myself getting too stuck at any portions. I think I played it on hard, like the one just above normal, and I'm just a better gamer than I was back in the day as a kid. But no, I had so much fun in it too. There's a lot of different weaponry that I kind of forgot that you get that you get access to in the later levels. Some like just crazy like OP weapons that just blow up multiple enemies. But such a fun world, and the Murmurs Half-Life 3 coming around. I do want to plug in Half-Life 2. I did see though on like the Black Mesa, that's the name of the remake of the Half-Life, but they also have like the Blue Shift remake. I don't know if it's out or if they're like working on it, but that was kind of like the offshoots, little 1.5 game edition that they had. They had Blue Shift and Opposing Force. Blue Shift, you're like a security guard in this Black Mesa facility, and then the Opposing Force, you're like the military that's there. And if you've never played Half-Life, those are like the antagonists, the bad guys trying to find Gordon. And yeah, no, I love that game so much. I'm so glad I just put some time aside to jump in there. And yeah, no, just a fun shooter.
So Black Mesa is a remake-ish of the first game, is that right?
Yeah, it's like a ground up like redo. Like it was I can't remember what like year they started making it, but I remember it was like early access for like a really long time, and I had wishlisted it for forever, and then it was just on a winter sale, ended up picking up, and yeah,
because they recently, like within the last couple of years, I think released like the 20-year anniversary. Which I don't know, when did the first Half-Life come out? Was it 2004? So maybe it was 2 years ago, where they did like the anniversary collection or anniversary remaster, I suppose, of the original Half-Life. So it's interesting that they did that when this Black Mesa things exist. So is Black Mesa like a separate SKU on Steam, or is it like a mod that you down, like a workshop thingy from Half-Life? Did I say Fallout earlier? My brain.
Yes, you did say Fallout, but that's okay. No, it's totally own like separate game. Like it's a whole different studio that made it. I think it started as just like a fan made project, but I don't know I don't know all the details around
Yeah.
that, so don't quote me on it.
I won't. Check out our Fallout reviews, by the way. I was just watching
Yeah.
that show. That's what that was on my mind. But cool. That's really great. Yeah, I that is one of the retros we've talked about doing when this Half-Life 3 thing, which seems like it actually might be real, gets announced at some point in the near future here. So really excited to finally knock that off my backlog. So I'll definitely me and you can go on that journey. Maybe Travis as well. That'll be a fun retro to finally dive into those games head first for me.
Totally. Just great world building too from like the get-go on the first game. And then number 2 is just such a massive like expanse upgrade, I think.
crazy.
Just like the scale of everything.
Yeah. I think you have more games been playing. I just wanted to shout out one quick thing, which is not a game I've been playing, but I almost did, Kirklin. I'm excited to report back in like a couple weeks or something. But I've recently joined like a new friend group, and they have all sorts of various game nights that they're doing, and they're really into Zomboid. So I re-downloaded
nice.
the game. They have like a server set up with like a bunch of us and like a bunch of mods and whatnot. And so I got
no
all
way.
that. I got all that installed, got all this, and then like when I was trying to join, there was like some issue with like the mod, like 2 mods somehow. Like even though they set up the server like days before, 2 of the mods had been removed from Steam, so like I couldn't download those, so it was causing some issue. But I was like watching my friend like stream it while I was trying to get everything downloaded and whatnot. And so yeah, soon I'm gonna be jumping back into play some more Zomboid and with a bunch of mods, so that's gonna be fun. But in the stream I was watching, he was hanging out at the house. It was the evening time. He was cooking his chicken nuggets, left the stove on or something, and just lit the house on fire. Started burning down the yard and a bunch of like the house and whatnot. And then he kind of he was banned from the kitchen. They're like, dude, you can't cook anymore. You were just trying to have
That's
some
so
nuggets,
funny.
but you were ruining everything. So I'm excited. Yeah, in a couple weeks, like I said, I should have a good Zomboid update for you.
That's awesome. I was actually going to bring up Zomboid because I jumped in there recently. It was following our Bone Temple review. I was just feeling the zombie presence, so I jumped in, made a new character, and I made it like a couple weeks, and then sure enough, I was doing like a super easy run to this warehouse that I was like super confident on. Got jumped from behind and then bitten, and like that's just like the death sentence. So I was feeling pretty sad about that. But no, that was a few hours of gameplay, and I was just having so much fun. It's a fun game that just you can always like go back to it and just do like a new run. And
so many
I'm very
options,
excited for like
settings.
the full release of Build 42. I haven't done like the unstable version. That's kind of like the public test environment.
That's the version
of the game.
I'm on now with all these mods that we have. We have to be on the
Okay.
unstable version. So like I said, I haven't actually played it yet, but should be.
Yeah. Some major like gameplay updates on that new build, so I am excited for when it does get the stable release. But that's so exciting. We'll have to play again too sometime.
Yes, we definitely should. Yeah, I want to get back in there.
Nice. Cool. Another game I've been playing that I wanted to shout out. I forgot to mention it to you actually in the before show, so it might be a bit of a surprise. But I got Age of Mythology Retold.
Oh, sweet! Now they got the new PC all ready to go. Yeah.
This was a heartbreak game for me because I was so excited for the release of it. I think I had pre-ordered it, got like the deluxe version. Like that this was my favorite RTS game as a kid. We get the remastered here. And then my old computer just would not even boot. I was so sad. I was like on the forums trying to figure out how to get this thing going. Ended up having to refund the game, and I was just so bitter and salty about it. And then it was on sale and I picked it up, and man, what an amazing game. Like it is just hitting on all the nostalgia factors. I was playing just like a couple like custom battles, like skirmishes against the computer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started like playing just like the campaign again, which is just such an amazing story, and it's so fun. I have like some mixed feelings on it because they do have like a lot of like different voice actors for some of the characters, and it's like I just played that game so much as a kid that like I can hear like the original voices, and then I have this. I'm like, oh, I wish it was like a setting or something that you could just go back to the OG audio files for just some of the voice characters. Like Athena, for example, she's kind of like the narrator of like the main campaign, and they have a different voice actor for her, and it just bothers me so much because you heard her so much if you played through the original campaign.
Are you playing on Steam or on the Xbox store?
On Steam.
Yeah. Is there a workshop for that? Like I feel like that's something that I guarantee if there is a workshop, someone would have made a mod for that.
That's a good point. I should look into that because I would totally install that. Because I miss my OG Athena. But minor grievances. It is just such a phenomenal game. They've added quite a lot to it also, like gameplay wise, but also like there's a bunch of new factions and gods that you can follow. So there's like a Japanese pantheon of gods, which is kind of cool. So I haven't even played like those units or anything, and then they have their own story campaign attached to it. So there's a lot of content in the game that I've yet to really play. I've just been going through the Fall of the Trident campaign, which is like the OG story, and yeah, like I said, just doing some of the custom battles, but so fun. I'm excited to do some, like I was telling my dad about it, because we used to have some hardcore land battles back in the day. I would have my buddies, he would have his buddies, and we'd just have like 8 of us doing like multiplayer in the basement. It was just some golden memories of mine. So definitely hitting the nostalgia, yeah, going through this game, and it's really fun. I really, really recommend it.
That's great. Yeah, I am excited to jump in and play some of that at some point in my life.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then what else? I was going to quickly mention over the break, I went really hard in Warhammer, and I was loving it. Man, the new system is just such a game changer. Mostly just for the load times. Like if I'd play like 3 hours of Warhammer before, I swear it'd be like an hour and a half of load times going from like battles, and then it would just take so long to go back to the campaign map on my old computer. But now it's like near instant, and I'm just so smiley, because like before I'd jump in, especially if I'm later on in a campaign, like the turns take so long, because you just cover so much of the world, and you have so many armies to manage. Like it'd be like a 1-turn session, because it would just take so long, and then especially if I have to do a battle, it would just take so long to go into it, and then if it's just like a big slog going back to the campaign map, I'm just like sad afterwards. But now just being able to not be worried about the load times. I can just jump in, do some battles, and yeah, I absolutely love that game so much. It is still it's still up there, but I'm excited I got like Age of Mythology now for a little RTS on the side to scratch that itch, and yeah.
Do you,
awesome.
With your new computer, could you play Warhammer and stream it at the same time? Do you think your computer could run that?
I think so. There's some moments, like of course, when I get my new computer, I'm assuming I could just run everything on ultra max graphics. Not the case so much on on that game. I had some major frame drops in certain sequences, but I would love to do that, because I feel like the game is so complex, and like I've talked to you so much about this game, but like you've never really seen what the.
I know. I would love
gameplay.
to just sit down with you and just watch you play, and you just like over explain everything you do, because I'm just at this point, knowing how much hours you put into it, I'm like, I'm not doing that, but I really want to understand more of the game's like deeper mechanics. So
totally,
we should plan that sometime. That would be a fun stream to do.
Absolutely, yeah, no, absolutely. Let's do that.
Nice.
And then beyond that, that's kind of the main meat and potatoes of what I've been playing. We're in a new year now, 2026, and then League of Legends has their new season that came out, season 16, with the new year. And what League of Legends does now is every month they have Clash. It's kind of like their amateur little like tournament. So you just get your friends together, your group of 5, and then you can go compete in these little. They have 2-day events, so one on Saturday, one on Sunday, and then they kind of put you in a bracket with people similar to your skill level, like similar to your rank of everyone that's in your team. And me and my friends, we jumped in there this weekend, and we've only done Clash once before, and we made it to the finals but lost in the last game. It was just really heartbreaking, because we just got stomped in the last game, and then that was like months ago. So we had like a lot of build up and hype for this weekend, and Sunday we jumped in there and we won the whole thing. We won every game, and it was nice. Lots of fun. That game is like, I mean, you've had your share of MOBA experiences, and it's just like peaks when you can have a full team and everyone's in the comms, definitely. And just everyone's working together. It's similar to like a CS:GO experience or something like that. Like just everyone working together, and just making it feel like I'm in the world's finals and the esports stage. It was just really fun to just be competitive playing League, and we absolutely popped off. I felt bad, because I like just the players I was laning against, I could tell they were just like really not at my level. So I had a pretty easy time with it, but still it was so fun to play with the boys, and hopefully we're gonna try and like play them at least around the Clash times. Just jump in. Like I said, it's usually once a month that they have those little tournaments. So yeah,
that's great. Yeah, I mean I think. I've had phases of my life where like all I'm playing is competitive games, whether that was like my Han era, my CS era, or when I was in a Melee, obviously. But nowadays, it's like sometimes I might just go like months at a time without playing a competitive game at all, like just playing single player stuff or like co-op things. and whenever I do go back to it, it's like, yeah, there's just nothing quite like, getting a clutch comeback in a game.
Oh, yeah.
My most played game of this month and probably the last like 2 or 3 months is just a bunch of Rocket League with Saris.
Oh, nice.
Just playing so much Rocket League. Well, as much as we can, considering he's a dad and he's like in school and working. So he's like, okay, let's play at 10
Busy
p.m.
guy.
for 1 hour kind of thing. But Rocket League games, 5 minutes long. You can get through a bunch of them. So that's been really fun. We've both been getting a lot better, working on our teamwork. And funny enough, this last couple weeks had a couple new guys start at my work, and one of them was talking to me today. He's like, "Oh, what games do you play? Do you play Rocket League?" That was like the first thing he just like soul read me. I'm like, "Dude, that's all I've been playing lately. How did you know?" And then like the other new guy across the room was like, "Wait, Rocket League? I play Rocket League." And we're like, "Oh, let's get some threes going on here." So that'll be fun. I foresee a lot more Rocket League in my future here, but just such a great game. So the skill ceiling endless. Feeling of getting a comeback, unbelievable. You get some BM in there, make some people salty. Oh, feels so good.
Yeah. What a save.
Sometimes
Spam
I'm that
that.
person too, but it's been a great time. That's mostly what I've been playing lately, honestly.
That's awesome. Yeah, such a timeless game.
Yeah.
And like I feel like last time I played it would have been on stream, but
Right.
I pick it up. It's like riding a bike. I'm not good. I'm not doing like aerial juggles or anything like that, but I can at least like just maneuver the vehicle to what my skill level was at, and it's so fun.
Yeah, right on. Cool. There are the games that we have been playing. And you know what? Let's jump into the Xbox Direct. We'll get through the first game maybe, and then we can take our first break. So I guess, even just in general, Kirklin, you're not normally the Xbox coverage guy on Sidequest because you don't have these consoles. Your PC was a little outdated. You weren't really playing these things. But I feel like this is a perfect time to jump in for you to cover this Direct, which wasn't even the plan, but just Travis had to switch a week around, and now you're here, which is kind of great because I feel like 3 of the 4 games here are like very Kirklin coded. At least that's my perception of them. And now that you have the new PC and, hop on the Xbox app, maybe subscribe to Game Pass for a month if you want to, which, the price of that didn't go up very much. It was more like the console one that went up. You could probably play a lot of these games if you're wanting to check them out. So what did you, I guess just as the broad strokes of it, what did you think of this this conference, this Direct here?
Yeah, I think I've definitely watched one of these before, but for some reason I thought it was going to be like a lot more games in this showcase. It was only like 54 minutes,
very
and
focused.
they spent a lot of time with each game because there is only a couple in there.
I feel like you were on last year's with me because I feel like we talked about Claire Obscure.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what other games they had in there on that year, but I guess they probably had Avowed, maybe a Ninja Gaiden, I think. Does that sound familiar?
That sounds familiar. Yeah, okay. I remember talking about Ninja Gaiden there. But for this one, obviously the big head honcho was like I was jumping into it. I'm like, I'm so hyped to just watch the Fable stuff. But I was homesick today, so I just threw it on. I think there was some games that maybe I'd heard of that I thought were interesting, but just having them showcased here was really, really, I was liking what I was getting. Big hidden OP one was the Kiln game for me personally. I was so confused at what was going on. I feel like I didn't love like the guy that was doing like his pottery nonsense. He was really acting. He was showing his acting chops. But just the more I saw that game, I'm like, this actually looks so fun and crazy. So I like what was shown there. We had some Japan stuff in there with the new Forza game. I probably won't be playing that, but still, it was kind of cool to see. Overall, I thought it was a pretty easy watch, and of course, ending it off with Fable was pretty hype for me, and I really, really love what was shown there. So that was kind of my quick little overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think as usual, I think they've really got this down. This is like the 4th year that they've done this specific structure of this showcase so far, and I think they do a really good job here. Like, it's really well produced. They show off the games very well. Of course, there's some games you always want to see like a little bit more. Like Fable is that for me, but just because I'm so curious about what this game is going to look like. But they do a really good job. They highlight the developers. Now, obviously, this is Xbox, a company that is firing game developers on like a monthly basis at this point, so it seems like a little ironic or a little silly that they like put this much effort into it. But I guess they can't all be perfect, I suppose. But yeah, I think this showcase was a really, really great way to show off a bunch of these games. So they always like to have a surprise in there. It seems like they have this now where maybe if they aren't firing on all cylinders on the first-party front. They bring in a third-party one. So this year it's Game Freak with Beast of Reincarnation. Last year it was Clair Obscur, which are not first-party games, but they want to highlight them all the same, and they seem like they get just as much production value and budget put into like their part of the showcase as the in-house games as well, which is cool because obviously those games are on Game Pass. They're helping build the brand up, and I think in Clair Obscur's case that was a huge success. And I don't know if people really attribute that win to Xbox, but it was a Game Pass title, and it was really mostly advertised for their console. And I think doing that here with Beast of Reincarnation at like a Game Freak game is a really interesting play for them as well. So I think it's cool to see which ones they're picking as like that fourth non-Xbox first party thing. And so I think it was a huge success last year. We'll see if that's the case for this new one this year. But yeah, and then as I just said, they always have a surprise game in there, and then highlighting two big first party games. So let's jump into it with that very first one. We'll go in order here. And that is with Forza Horizon 6. So I haven't really played much of this series, but I did play a bunch of Forza Horizon 5 when that came out, whenever it was. I think it was 2023. It was pretty recently. They get these games out pretty quick. This has a release date now of May 18th on Xbox. I forget if PlayStation's the same day. I want to say it's a few months later, but I think it's still this year is what they announced there. And yeah, this is Forza Horizon going to Japan finally. So they showed a bunch of that open world. They showed off some seasons. They showed off some, you can like build a base, which I don't know if that's new. I think you could always buy houses and garages, but now you can build it like a weird looking base. So that's kind of fun. But I was kind of kind of surprised to hear you say that you're kind of just brushing this one off. I thought maybe this would be a fun game for you, especially like you're so hyped on Ace Combat. I feel like maybe there's some crossover between these two.
Yeah, that's
especially
fair.
with the Japan stuff after your trip last year. I thought you'd maybe be wanting to jump into this one.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm just like so separated from the series. Like I'm just, especially back in the day when they were like exclusively Xboxes. It's just
Right.
like, yeah, I'm never gonna play those games. If I want to play a racing game, I got my F1 titles. Like I can jump in there. Very very different type of racing game, but still that's kind of what I would be more inclined to. But I will say I feel like this is probably the closest sell that I've had on this one, just because I do love the of course they're in Japan. That's amazing. And I was kind of interested in what they're pitching with like the story, very like generic racing, Need for Speed type story of you're a nobody, you're a tourist in Japan, and then you enter your little dinky car into this race, and you just like work your way up.
I know.
I don't know.
It's funny that they
looks
said
really
that. They
good.
were like, in this one, you don't start as a rookie and grow up and get to the big leagues. You're a tourist who's like, oh, maybe I'll try this out. But it's like, it is the same story. I guess the slight origin is a bit different, but you're right. It is kind of goofy the way they were trying to sell that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was pretty surprised too by the amount of cars that they mentioned there. Like they said, there's like over 500, which in my head is just like that's like more cars than I think there even is in the world. That's crazy.
I certainly
I'm not
could
a car
not
guy,
name
but still
500 cars.
Yeah, I'm sure there's like some variants here and there, but no, really really cool. I did like the highlight of just like the verticality of some of the levels. I think it's just one of those franchises I've never really thought myself being into, but this was an impressive trailer, so maybe I don't want to broom them fast too quickly. But for looking at it and being like looking at the games that I'm going to be purchasing this year, I don't think this is going to be the one that really makes the cut there.
Yeah, it's funny like when you watch a trailer like this and they really highlight all these little details, which I feel like just because of the genre that this is, you almost don't notice some of those things. Like I'm sure I'll notice the cherry blossom, leaves hovering differently when I drive by them, but they're like the tread on your tires, you'll see it like wear down over time. It's like I don't think anyone's gonna notice that. Like it's a cool detail and I love that they have it in there, but like is anyone actually gonna notice that? Like maybe you'll notice your control getting a bit worse, but like the fact that it's like they've animated it is kind of crazy above and beyond. But I don't know if they have done this in the other ones with the seasons, because the last one 5 was set in Mexico and I played some of that, but I don't recall there being like seasonal changes. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like maybe that is just a specific to Japan thing where they really wanted to highlight how all 4 seasons are extremely distinct, whether it is those cherry blossoms or like the huge piles of snow on either side of the road. That looks really fun to me, like the Mario Kart 64 level that has a theming like that. I think that part of it looks really cool, and I am excited for this game. Whenever I'm subscribed to Xbox or Game Pass Next, whenever this game is out, I'll definitely jump in there for a few hours and see what it's like. I think the freedom of it is is cool. Like with 5, they had all sorts of weird mini games. Like you could do bowling, like with a car, smashing giant bowling pins. I feel like they didn't really highlight that stuff as much. They was really more focused on the racing, and then like buying bases, like home bases, buying, like filling out your base. But even that, they didn't really highlight too much of the actual mechanics of it. So I'm curious to see what kind of like silly, goofy things are in here. Like they always pitch it as like this is a big event, you know, the Forza event, that everything's going on here. The Horizon Festival, I think, is what it's called. Yeah, that's what it's in the name of the game. And so I don't know. I feel like I didn't see as much of that, or like the characterization, which is fine because it is like a racing game at the end of the day. But I'm curious to see what other kind of fun things are in there. But you know, it is Playground. They crush these games. They always get great reviews. They look amazing. Like the visuals of this game are unbelievable. The diversity in the maps looks really good. I wanted to see a bit more like city gameplay because I love the look of that city when you're driving through it, like the dense downtown kind of section. I don't know how much of the game is going to be that, but I really liked the kind of small little bit we did get to see. It was really only like a couple corner turns. I was really looking out for it because I'm like, I really want to see like what a dense city in Japan looks like in this game. I don't know if that's really what it's going to be, or if it's more focused on like the country roads and the big, more open spaces, which seems like more par for the course for the genre, or for the series, I mean. But still, I think this game looks great. I did have it in my draft. I'm hoping that it reviews very well. So I got some skin in the game on this one, but I think I think it'll live up to the hype because these games are pretty just extremely consistent at this point in time. So I think this one will hit as well.
Yeah.
There you go. There's Forza Horizon 6 coming out May 18th once again. Let's jump to a quick break before we get into some of the rest of these games here. I'm going to shout out our Patreon producers, Aaron Braden, April of Darkness, Jack Grant, Superbad Mike, TJGLM69, Hidalgo, Lenny Kravitz, Cocktail Clay, John with no H, Sam Green, John M, and there's a comma there, so I don't know if we're missing one. If we are, sorry, I will make sure that we get that added in there. But thank you all for supporting us, for keeping the fuel in the fuel tanks, that we can keep driving around this podcast world that we do. And yeah, I think the only shout-outs content-wise, all sorts of things are going on right now. We did our Golden Geeks. We did the MCU Golden Geeks. We're doing more drafts. It's a very exciting time in January. We, of course, have the Fallout weekly reviews. The episode 7 is going to come out same day as this Sidequest episode, and then the finale is next week on that. All sorts of things coming out on the Patreon, bonus episodes. So definitely go over there, because not only do you get episodes early and ad-free, you get all those exclusive ones. You get a lot of voting power, which is now more powerful than ever, because you're voting on what wins the Golden Geeks Awards, which is a very big deal. So make sure you join so you can cast your vote there, make your voice heard. But thank you guys all for all the support. Make sure to jump in the Discord, chat with us when the Xbox Direct and other things like that are happening live. It's always a fun time. And yeah, let's jump to our first ad break. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Next up is Game Freak's title, Beast of Reincarnation, coming out this summer. Unknown exact month or date, just ambiguous summer, as these showcases like to do. So yeah, this is a weird game, right? Because it's a Game Freak game. Traditionally the developers of Pokemon, who people always shit on them because their game. Well, I mean, people love their games, but they're always like, wow, these games, very buggy, graphics suck. What's going on here? These guys have so much money. Why do they keep pumping these games out? And it's, probably just because of the time schedules that they don't get a lot of time to make these games. So this is a weird case where like Game Freak is making something different, which happens very rarely from that studio. Mostly they are just crunching down on Pokemon stuff. But here we have a very soulsy, very kind of action combat game focused here. It seems like there's a bit more focus on a story, whether that's like actual physical dialogue or more just a wordless story in a way. It seems like there's something going on here. I liked early on one of the developers, maybe it was the creative director, was like, I asked my heart what emotions I wanted to feel when making this game, and I came across warmth, trust, and loneliness. Of course, he's Japanese, so he sounded very different than the way I just said it. But I actually loved that. I thought that, one, it's very cute and earnest, but also like, the more I was thinking about it, the more I was like, warmth, trust, and loneliness. Like warmth and trust, those go hand in hand. But loneliness is like a completely different emotion than those other two, in my opinion. And so I think that's like going to make for an interesting contrast. And I kind of feel like that comes across in the footage that we saw here. And, it's funny, you look at this game and like on the surface, it seems like it's going to be like one of the most gorgeous games ever. But then if you look at like closer, it's like okay, there's definitely like some lower graphical quality than we expect. You could see some pop in. Frame rate seemed pretty decent, but I think this does still feel like a Game Freak game in a sense. But obviously, it's like they've really taken a lot more care. It appears with like the visuals of it, making it stylish, adding a lot more detail in the world. Like the creature design is just a lot more complex than what we're used to seeing from them, crunching out like 150 Pokemon every couple of years, whatever it is. So yeah, what did you think about this game? Because I feel like it had. What's that game? The PS5 game, the early PS5 game with the girl with the magic wand that you really
Kena, the Forest of Spirit or the Bridge of Spirits or something.
Bridge
like
of Spirits. Yeah, I feel like this kind of had an energy like that. That's a bit more Pixar-y than this, which is more Soulsy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you really liked that game. So what did you think of Beast of Reincarnation?
Yeah, no, I was really excited to see this one here when it was first shown or announced or whatever it was. I was really interested in it because it was weird that it was a Game Freak game and it wasn't Pokemon, and it looked really, I don't know, like a different studio did it. Like it looked really, really impressive. I really liked this showcase. I liked what I saw, what they were explaining. It's funny, you can still definitely tell that it is like a Game Freak game with yeah, maybe if you zoom in a little bit, like just the textures aren't like super top notch quality, but like even just their explanation of like, yeah, we've always been so attached to like animals and companionship and friend and just stuff like that, plants, like they just what they're describing. I'm like, this just seems like how you would make a Pokemon game. Just you're companioned with an animal and you're going off in this world. But yeah, I thought it was really cool. I did like the showcase of course, the different kind of ways that you can play. You can really specialize in just maxing out. Oh my gosh, I forgot the wolf's name, but just whether it's
Emma and Ku are the characters.
Emma and Ku, yes, thank you. So you could just like max out your Ku stats and just only use that.
He's got his own skill tree.
Yeah. Or you can focus more on range or melee. And I think what was shown for the combat. There were some moments that looked kind of like a JRPG element, like it looked like more turn-based than stuff that was more real-time. But I thought it looked really good. Like I like the animations of the combat. I thought the character design, but also like the enemy design was really cool, and just expanse or just larger scale, I guess I'll say. Like the one big flower stag thing that she was fighting was pretty impressive. And yeah, I imagine it's gonna have a lot of emotion in it. I did like just seeing the developers talk about it, and yeah, if you take out like some of the quotes, it's a little bit like, okay, what are we doing here? But I think you can really just feel the like the care and attention, just the passion that is in the game. So yeah, I'm glad I watched it and wasn't like, oof, this looks really bad. Like it does look like it could be a bit of a sleeper OP pick, and Clair Obscur was a phenomenal success, but I feel like there was some moments while watching this, I'm like, this kind of reminds me of that like original Clair Obscur trailer. A very different type of game, but still just what's in there. I think it. I'm definitely gonna be curious to see what the reviews are. I'm not gonna jump into it right away, but yeah, hopefully it reviews really well, and another sleeper hit.
Yeah, it's definitely pulling from a lot of different things for me, like Kena Bridge of Spirits, as I mentioned. Also, a lot of Horizon Zero Dawn in terms of like it being an overgrown post whatever the world was before, right. But then mixed with like there are high tech creatures as well. Like that's an interesting contrast of the white gray creatures against like the green forest and whatnot. And then even has like a Ghibli feel to it as well in terms of how fantastical it is and like just the overgrowth of everything. And I think Game Freak, every generation they're pumping out a bunch of new Pokemon, and some of the Pokemon are some of the most iconic video game character designs of all time, and some of them suck ass, right? Like it's very contrasted. There's like the full, they really run the gamut, the whole spectrum in terms of how good their character design is. But I really like what was shown here. One, I think Emma's like one of the coolest looking game protagonists I've seen. Cool wolf looking creature. You can't go wrong there. And I just think the creatures, like the enemies, there's like the one almost like near automata type, like like a wooden robot type characters that look really cool and interesting and strange. But then the enemies as well being just like, oh yeah, here's a moose or a stag that is like just overgrown with plants and roots and flowers growing out of weird places. It's almost a bit like Avowed, but I think, in the story of Avowed, it's like somewhat recently there's like this corruption that's been going around. So like there's a bear with a flower growing out of his head, and it feels like that's a fresh thing. This feels like this overgrowth has been happening on some of these creatures for like hundreds of years or something, and it's like they've just been evolving with it and growing and getting more and more monstrous over time. And I really like the design of everything here. I think they did a great job there. And then when that comes back to the Souls-like design of it, there's attacks that just look like an attack you've seen a million times in a Souls-like game, where a big boss monster like smashes their arms down, and then there's like in Souls, it's like always like some weird light or something pops out of the ground. When in this, you have like flowers and roots growing out of the ground that would be like the hitboxes that you have to dodge, and it just seems like really, really fun and dynamic. And it seems like the world, because they showed this a little bit, right, where like the world will like grow in real time, like the plants and things will grow and then like ungrow. And I don't know, I guess as you're defeating maybe a node, I think that happens in Cana, right? Like just defeat a node and like a bunch of things like wither away, whatever you can go through. So it seems like it's doing a little bit of that. I think the Souls like combat of it looked really solid, looked really clean, looked like all the things you'd expect, like dodge timings and parries and counterattacks, all that stuff like looked pretty smooth and whatnot. So that's looking good. As you mentioned, like the play styles, they were like, oh, you can play stealthy, you can play ranged, and all those classic styles that you'd expect. So I think it looks really impressive. I also love the root vault thing you can do, where you just like to, instead of jumping or like, it looks like a grappling hook type movement, but instead it's just a root growing out of the ground that's like supporting one of your legs, and it's just like pushing you into the air. I feel like there's a lot of fun, creative. I always love that kind of magic in games, and I feel like it's rare for that. It feels like, oh yeah, you can always shoot a water spell or a fire spell, but like having cool, weird earth magic is like pretty fun and unique here, and the game like really seems to double down on that. I don't know if I feel a whole lot about the story or like what's going on in the world necessarily, but I think even just once again going back to like the words that guy used of like warmth and loneliness, I think even just having like an interesting lonely experience in this world, lonely but you still have like a nice wolf companion who will keep you company, I'm sure, make sure you're not lonely. But I'm like really excited for this game. I think it looks really cool, and I'm not a big Souls guy, but there's something, I'm not a big Pokemon or Game Freak guy either, but there's something about the fusion here that seems like an oddity to me, and I do really want to explore this. And yeah, it's hard for me to get invested in Souls-like combat games. I really need to be super into it to love that and the difficulty. So we'll see what that looks like. I also didn't really get much of a vibe. Like, did you see any like bonfires in this? Like, is there regenerating enemies, or is it more linear? Like, I couldn't really get a feel for that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I imagine like the bigger challenging enemies probably won't respond. So like I guess like the boss types, how a similar Souls game would be. But yeah, I didn't see anything that really stood out to be like a bonfire mechanic.
Yeah, so we'll see what kind of structure it is, because I feel like also Game Freak, not really known for like really interesting level design. Like, it's usually in Pokemon games just like, oh, you need surf to get over this, or else you can't. And it's like, and then there's a bit of a Metroidvania element to it. Where it's like, oh, I found this TM and I can put it on my Lapras, and now I can go over here. But it doesn't feel like as well designed as a Lies of P or Elden Ring or Dark Souls or anything like that. So we'll see what the actual like level world design is of this. But again, this is coming out in the summer, and yeah, I think it's really jumped up my anticipated of the year list. I'm quite excited to check this one out. Yeah. So any other thoughts on Beast of Reincarnation?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Why don't you tell me about Kiln then? This is a new game from Double Fine, of course, who released Keeper last year, Psychonauts 2 2 or 3 years back. They always make weird, interesting things, and here they are with another strange co-op-y multiplayer things. Not co-op, I guess, more competitive multiplayer. But yeah, what did you think of Kiln? And yeah, can you describe it for the listeners at home?
I'll try my best to describe it. It's a very, very strange game. Yeah, no, I mostly was just captivated by the presentation of it. I was so like, what the fuck is this going to be? And then as it went on, it was kind of selling me on it. I have like zero interest in like spending a lot of time like customizing a pot. I did a pottery class. Not for me. That is not my forte. I'm not good. Pottery person, whatever we call them. Potman, yeah, I like that. But like the actual gameplay in here just looks so zany and wild, and just big explosion. I like seeing like the different types of like just kill pots. I guess you can kind of utilize big ones that like are hitting heavy, or small little quick ones. Like it just seems like a fun game to try out. Maybe I pick it up and really not vibing with it because it looks like there is a lot in this game that maybe I'm not necessarily going to be drawn to, but just like the gameplay alone looked really cool, and just seeing like the different variations of pots that you can really mess around with, and looks like a really creative game that I'm sure people will just go crazy with their creations on what they can make. But no, the gameplay was really like the standout. Just like the big PvP co-op element to it. It was reminding me of Fat Princess for some reason.
Dude, I was just thinking that. I was like, this game is extremely Vita coded and very Fat Princess-y, so I like that you noticed that too.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just like the camera angle or just like the wild combat to it. It totally was reminding me of that, and I loved playing Fat Princess back in the day on the PS3. Sunk a lot of hours into that. So yeah, not one that's like I think they sold me on it right away, but definitely one I want to try. Just by that gameplay, it looked really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I love how weird and different it is, and Double Fine known for making weird stuff. Where they had Keeper last year, where you play as a lighthouse and go on like an Odyssey, like that right there is weird and different. Psychonauts, which I still haven't played, but is like definitely a white whale series for me because I feel like I'm gonna love exactly what that is. And I've never played Brutal Legend. As a big Jack Black fan, that's a big no-no on my end. So I need to fix that, and I feel like I got to check out some more Double Fine things. My pessimistic take that's kind of somewhat related to this game is like, I don't know, like just how much Xbox, you can have an extremely successful game and Xbox will lay off a bunch of your studio or just close it, right? We're in a really tough spot in the game industry, especially from Xbox after the Activision Blizzard acquisition. I don't see a game like this doing much for the the bank account of Xbox, and so it really makes me worried. If you have Keeper last year, you have this. So yeah, they have a game coming out every year, but like I don't know how many people are buying these games versus just playing these on Game Pass. I don't know how many people are subscribing to Game Pass to play Kiln or Keeper. I think that number is probably quite low. Maybe I'm wrong about that. At the same time, I assume these games have a much lower budget than when you compare it to, I guess, anything else you would see in this developer direct. Obviously, it's going to have just a minute budget compared to something like Fable or Forza Horizon 6, of course. But I worry where the place is for this kind of thing these days, because I think this is one of those games that comes out for a bit, people play it for a couple weeks, then maybe move on. Maybe not. Maybe it's an amazing game, people stick around, play it for a long time, and maybe it just being in the Game Pass system makes it financially more viable. So I just like seeing these games. I just get worried that a game like this coming from an Xbox studio, what it could mean for that studio. And I don't know who's safe anymore, because they're closing studios who are releasing like great games that sell well. So I don't know what you can possibly do to stay afloat. And I don't know if this is it, but I have to imagine also, like, I mean, they had another game come out last year. They're probably working on their next big title, and this is a smaller one. They said that this is like they do a game jam thing at their studio every once in a while. People can pitch an idea. You get a week or whatever it is to make a weird little game prototype, and then whatever is like the coolest idea that is the most exciting for people, they turn into a full project. And this is where that came from, which you can tell, right? It's like some guy on the team who loves pottery, who's like, I wonder, who's like fantasizing during a pottery class of like, oh, what if these bots could fight each other? And then like, what if we made that game? And now like a bunch of money is going into making that a reality, which is the coolest thing ever. I'm really happy for them, but I am worried. So hopefully this isn't a bad omen. Hopefully 6 months from now, Double Fine's doing great, and they announce their next title somehow. So we'll see what happens there. In terms of the game itself, it looks fun. I don't know how much I would really get into this, but I honestly, the part that looked the most fun to me was just making pots. Like, I really like the little builder system where you're kind of doing it as if you're in a pottery class where you can shape it in real time. And then the game like detects based on roughly the shape is like, is this a flute? Is this a pot? Is this a... I don't know the names of different pots, but you get the idea. It like tells you what class it is, and that literally determines what kind of skills and abilities you can use with it, and the way it attacks, and all that kind of fun stuff. And then in real time, it'll like put like eyes and feet and hands on it in like realistic spots that make it look good. And then you can of course like paint it and do all these fun things as well. So that is really fun. I love that idea, and I hope this. I just think it's gonna be a fun game. I hope it has like easy couch co-op too, because I think this would be a fun one to pop on a 24-hour stream or something like that for all of us. Jump in there, throw it in the gauntlet. This would be a fun gauntlet game. I think give us 3 minutes to make the best pot you can in 3 minutes and then duke it out for 10, 15 minutes. That would be really fun. So we'll see what happens here. But yeah, that is coming out this spring. So yeah, we'll see what happens with Kiln from Double Fine. And that takes us to the headliner, the big deal for you and me, Kirklin, as big Fable 1 fans. And yeah, this is finally our first big look at Fable, our first true look at gameplay, because we got a couple trailers before, a couple things that looked a little gameplay-like, but it seemed like, okay, this is more just a CGI trailer instead of actual gameplay. So we got to see a bunch of combat, we got to see a bunch of the town stuff. There's a million different directions we can go here, but yeah, just, I guess, on a scale from 1 to 10, how impressed were you with this showing here of Fable?
Good question. I think I want to say like an 8,
Okay.
8.5, with a little bit of an asterisk on there because I don't know if it was just my version or maybe it was just a bad presentation, but the frames were off, weren't they, for this?
Frame rate was looking bad, which
Yeah.
which you compare it to a game like Forza or Beast of Reincarnation in the same showcase, and those frame rates do look good. It
Yeah.
makes me worried, but of course it could be YouTube compression. It could be that this game's various months away, and the build they had to show this
For
gameplay
sure.
was probably recorded months ago, right? Because it takes a long time to put these showcases together. So that's what I'm hoping for. But it looked like lower than 30 FPS, so that's worrying to
Yeah.
me.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, that was my biggest like holdback, I think. But like the design and like the detail, like it looked really, really good. Like I think like the actual level of
Yeah.
detail of the characters and just like the just the world, the environment, the enemies, the shading, the lighting, like all of that was really good. But the holdback was the frame rate. So like if that's actually the final, which I don't think that that is the case. I would really hope that they would smooth out that frame rate.
Yeah.
I hope it is just something presentation wise on why it looks like that.
Yeah, like maybe it has a performance mode or a quality mode, that kind of thing. And, for the sake of the showcase, they're like, oh, let's show off the best looking fidelity we can.
Yeah.
Sacrificing the frame rate because YouTube will compress it anyway. So, yeah, hopefully crossing the fingers that's what's going on. But again, this is probably recorded maybe months ago, and it's not coming out until the fall. So it's still got
Right.
a ways to go. So hopefully that's a good
Yeah.
sign.
But like if I put that to the side, like definitely I would say like an 8.5 on impressiveness. Impressiveness. But no, I think this feels like a really true like honored successor to the OG Fable game. Just like the familiar places, the things that they decided to like hold on to, whether that be like the hobs or like various like familiar enemy types or like they mentioned in here like they're keeping that British humor that that OG game had, which I just love. The music was just so nostalgic for me. In this they had it playing on in the background the whole showcase and for
Yeah.
the Fable section, and it was hitting it was hitting the
Yeah,
heartstrings.
that
I
same
absolutely
magic,
loved.
yeah.
Yeah, and just whether it be like the chicken chaser reference, the fact that he like kicks a chicken, like very similar type of animation, the romancing side that's definitely elevated, but you can still do like very much the same things that were kind of brought into like the world of the Fables with that OG game, whether it is romancing or just buying the town and just like getting money passively by your investments. Like I do like that they talked a big portion of that, how it like these games, we talked to people that loved like that OG Fable, like it was never the gameplay, it was pretty much just what you could do around the world. And I completely agree with that. I love just finding wives and belching and farting in town and just doing all that type of stuff. My one like thing I'm maybe a little bit question marked on is like the morality system, how they say it's like very subjective. I don't really know what that means, but I don't know. For everything else that was in here, I did really like what I saw. The gameplay, I really really liked it. It seems like just an upgrade from what that OG one was, not like a complete reimagining. Like the locking on system looks really really similar, but I liked how the weapons feel heavy, like when you're swinging them around, and like it does feel like a more modern version of the stuff that was just brought from that first game. So overall, I really impressed by it. I think it looks really really solid, and I want to be there. I want to be there day one. I want to get this game. So
Nice.
it worked. It worked for me. The showcase, they sold me.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I think I'm a little bit lower than you. I'm maybe like a 7.5 on the hype
Okay.
level. Obviously, I like some of the things with frame rate, but I don't know how much stock to put in those now. I think for me, the combat did look pretty underwhelming, and honestly, anything outside of like the towns to me was quite underwhelming. I think that's where I'm at right now. But like the town stuff looks absolutely amazing. I can't wait to talk about all those little details going on there. But I think even like, they said this is like the first fully open world Fable, which I think makes a lot
Yeah.
of sense, and especially Playground and just their pedigree of the games they've made previously, which of course are not in the same genre, but just like the large landscapes, the just visual fidelity of it, the detail in nature, but also, a studio that traditionally makes racing games, so much of like racing games and open worlds and like environments and things like that, all of it is like just to trick the eye, right? Like you never really interact with any of that stuff. It's always
Yeah.
just something you drive by, and so it just has to look good enough for like you to race by it at 80 kilometers per hour and not like look at the little details. And this is a very different experience than that. This is a very slow, kind of thoughtful situation where you're probably looking around at every little detail. Or you're slowly walking through this world. You have a horse, so I guess you could go a little bit quicker on there. And obviously, that seems to be the case in the towns. But I didn't see anything when you're out in the open world, other than like they showed like little combat sequences, but I didn't see anything else out there. And so I'm curious what going around the open world looks like other than just combat, and I don't know what that
Yeah.
is. I don't know if I'm asking for like mini games. I don't know if I'm asking for like, Ghost of Tsushima chasing the foxes around. I don't think that's what I'm asking for, but I wanted to see like a little bit more of what the open world looks like, what you can expect to do and see out there, and maybe even just like more of a walkthrough of like what one quest looked like. So obviously if this game comes out in the fall, I assume we're going to get maybe a direct all about it later on, because they've done that with a couple of the games that they've had at Xbox developer directs and things like that. And I feel like we could easily get another 20-30 minute run through of this game and see a lot more of it. But yeah, I am really curious what like they really highlighted again this quest with this giant, and this guy took this like growth hormone and now he's like huge, and you have to decide if you want to spare him, which I guess would be leaving like a potentially dangerous giant around in the world, or you can kill him. And I like that they said that, like, his body will stay there. Like, it'll be known every time you walk by, you'll see this giant's body. And obviously everyone in town's going to know about that too, because you can't hide a giant body. And like people are going to react to that. But I kind of want to see like, what does that whole quest look like? Like what is like step by step? What is the walkthrough of that? Because I feel like they sometimes do things like that at these developer directs. So I am curious to see what that looks like and what your kind of options are in those sort of situations. And like, is it just binary like that? You like one choice or another, or is it like you have made various choices that led to the point that got to the result? So I'm curious to see what some of that looks like. But yeah, I guess talking a little bit more about the combat, as you mentioned, it's kind of like feels like a little bit more slow and heavy, which is definitely the case in like the original Fable and stuff like that, and is definitely very popular now with like Souls-like games and things. I think the magic looked okay, but I think for me, like some of the movement during the combat sequences looked a little clunky. Like I think when you were just like fighting one guy and then you like defeat the guy and move on to the next guy, like that to me seemed a little sluggish, a little clunky. And maybe I'm also just making the comparison because back in Fable 1, I would always, as soon as I could, get the ability to teleport behind guys, whatever that,
Shadow
like,
Step or Assassins,
Shadow
whatever
Step.
it's called.
That was like the first thing I would hunt down in the skill tree every time. And so maybe I'm just used to that, but it did look a little slow and clunky for my liking, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely saw that. It didn't bother me too much. Some of that I was thinking might be remedied a little bit with like better frames, like maybe like the worst
Sure.
frames are just making those
Yeah.
moments feel even more sluggish. But it definitely isn't as smooth as other combats I've seen in the past. But I think in my mind it's just very similar to what the OG was, and I think it's one of those things that yeah, just as I'm going along like with the game and playing it more, I probably won't like I'll probably just like it the whole time. Especially, I don't know, I feel like there wasn't as much like willpower is kind of shown there, so I'm kind of holding that in the back of my mind too, that like maybe just as you said, like maybe there is an ability like that makes the combat feel a lot faster and a lot more just quicker pace. Or even the OG had abilities where you could just make like ghost swords that would just help you battle, and maybe it wouldn't feel like you're just having a one-on-one like over and over and over again in those battle sequences. But yeah, fair criticism though.
Yeah. I mean, I think they are going for a little bit more realism. Like, I think always one of the things I love about Fable's art design is like just really exaggerated scale of certain things. If you just like look at a house or look at like a guard's shoulders, like things are just really like big and bulky, and like they do look kind of weird and off, right? And like very fairy tale esque, which is a very Fable thing. But I think with this, they've gone a lot more. A lot more grounded, a lot more realistic. There is still moments that feel very Fable in like the grand scale and whatnot. Like specifically with like buildings, I think it really stuck to that. But in general, I think they've kind of toned it down a little bit. It seems like a little bit less colorful as well, like in terms of just the tones and whatnot. Which I don't really have an issue with that necessarily, but. Man, Kirklin, I miss the experience orbs. I'll tell you that. I like the unrealistic goofiness of you hit a guy and then a fuck ton of orbs just burst out of him, and then you hold the right trigger to have them sucked all into you so you can level up. So that's one thing I am bummed not to see.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
Yeah.
Great sound effect, too, when you collect them.
Oh, so good. So good. The best. Let's talk about, well, I guess also in terms of some of the combat things, they showed off some of the classic returning enemies like the Hobbs, the Balverines. They didn't show the Balverines, but they just said they're going to be in there. Trolls, some things like that. I really like there's this one floating enemy that had like a lantern for a head. Yeah. And at one point it like opens the lantern gate or the lantern door, or whatever it is, and then you can like shoot an arrow in there. Like that's its weak spot. So love that. Love to see some of the old favorites, and then like the cockatrice, like the whatever it is, lion, chicken, whatever that combo is. So that stuff seems really fun. I think the more they get weird with it is, again, very fitting for the Fable setting. But yeah, I like to see some of those enemies coming back. Here's another thing, too. In terms of the realism, they've talked about this. They didn't really show it in the direct, but have talked about it in an interview since, of the morality. So obviously a big part of Fable is like doing good deeds or evil deeds. And in the first game, it was like very overt of like the more evil you got, horns would literally start growing out of your head. You'd look more and more like a demon, like a devil. And then what happened if you were good? I guess your skin was just clean and your eyes were blue and stuff.
You get like a halo.
You get a halo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there'd be like little fairy things going around you, like little pixies.
That's right. That's right. So they've said there is no visual difference to your morality in this. Your character's not going to change physically. It'll more just be, I guess, like in your dialogue with other conversations. Like their morality will be there in every way except for the fact that your character is not going to like physically change appearance, which is fine because you can always just put on like an evil looking gown if you want to look more evil, right?
Yeah.
But I saw a lot of people really pissed off about that. That they aren't bringing back some of that detail, which I would not be mad if it was, but I can live.
Yeah. Yeah. I personally liked like the change of look that you would get back in the OG one, depending on which alignment you're kind of siding with. But I'm totally okay with it not being there anymore. And like you said, you can just you can shift up your outfit if you want to look a little bit less evil or a little bit more evil. But yeah. Hey, there you go. Perfect timing.
Oh, did you just finish your sentence? That is perfect.
Yeah, I was just saying I did like the fact that it changed your look back in the OG one, but I'm not really too bothered by it because, sometimes you don't want to look evil and bald, and
that's true.
Because the thing with the horns is like you kind of had to make your guy bald, otherwise you would just have this like really weird hairline where your horns are coming out of. But yeah,
your characters looked hecka ugly. So there is some they already showed off some of the customization of costumes and stuff, and a lot of people were wondering if the character, the woman that they've shown in all the trailers, was like the only option. But no, you can play as like a man. You can switch it up. You can look however you want, that kind of thing. So all that stuff, pretty much expected. But I guess that was new stuff that they showed here. I guess another thing too that's come up in the last few days is them being specific about like this is not a sequel. This is almost like a reboot of Fable in a sense, where it's like, obviously there's certain enemies and locations coming back, but like this is a new story, like using all the same stuff. So an example here is like one of the main towns, or the big town we saw here, is Bowerstone, which is of course an iconic location from the first game. It looks very different. It shares some of the same like design sensibilities, but it's like for its own, all intents and purposes, like a completely new city, just with like the same name. So I'm fine with that too, and I like kind of a new coat of paint, and I think that's kind of what I expected. And like, as someone who like just played a ton of Fable 1 and never really got too much into Fable 2 and 3, like I don't need it to be a continuity of that story, because I don't even know what the story is. I don't even really remember all the things that happened in Fable 1. I remember like little details or funny quests and things like that, but I don't think I've ever even rolled credits on the game, which is something I know we've talked about, and how we're also planning on maybe doing a retro of that original game before this comes out too. So maybe I'll finally roll credits on the game. And like I've never played the DLC, like Lost Chapters stuff, so I have a lot of blind spots in this series. I really just with my cousin would go kick chickens and like do funny things in the town. Like that's why I was so happy that was a big part of this trailer, is that like they didn't really seem to focus on like in this game you're gonna go on an epic quest and kill the false god, like because to me that's never what Fable's been about. It's been about screwing around, messing with NPCs, goofing off, having a good time, maybe doing a quest here or there. But like it's just an extremely silly game that is kind of like a life sim for me, is kind of how I've played it, even though I didn't think about those terms back in the day. So I think I'm okay with that, and I like to see what we have going on here. And it's going to be fun to be back / kind of visiting Bowerstone for the first time. So I like the kind of use of old and new at the same time.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I loved that the focus was on those just life sim elements, because I think that was probably the majority of the time spent I played in that game, is just doing the life sim stuff. And I liked how they mentioned like you can kind of interact and talk to like every single NPC, and like I like the little like the little bar that would say like what they think of you, whether you're like some rich snob or something like that. Like that's really fun.
Reminds
to me.
you how you've wronged them, or how you've like brought justice,
or if
to
you
them,
evicted them out of your house. Like that's kind of
such a good
cool.
moment.
So so I love that stuff there, and I think that's another thing that maybe I don't really focus too much in on the gameplay, because it's like okay, it's there, but that's not really what I'm jumping into this game for. I am really curious though, because I imagine it'll go the same route that the OG one did, where yes, this one is an open world game, but like the story will still be somewhat linear, and they said your character starts as a kid and then you grow up as you did in the OG ones. And in the OG one, as you get like near the end of the game, your character is like 86 years old. Like he is old man at that point. You get like a big beard. I'm curious like how much the aging
they do show you as a kid
gonna...
in this, right? So like presumably there is going to be that same idea of like you're playing through the life of this character.
Yeah, you just don't see them like really different sizes or anything. Like I know in the OG one, like as you get more health, your character like becomes like Drax the Destroyer. Like you just become massive. Not so much showcase into that. I really hope that is a really I hope that is a mechanic that they keep in this new one, because that was really cool from the OG one. If you are doing different builds and you have like a full on just brute character that's just massive, or if you have just like a mage that's just like a little bit more skinny, scrawny. I really hope that stuff's in the game too.
Yeah, because I mean they showed off like a bunch of different spells, which presumably are things you're unlocking on a skill tree using points via leveling up to get. But we didn't like really dig into like the RPG mechanics necessarily, so we don't like know how that skill tree is going to look. And is it going to just simplify to like a Skyrim type thing where like every time you level up, you pick, do you want health, do you want mana, or do you want stamina, and then like you get some skill points here or there. We'll see. It's probably a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Probably keep some of the OG stuff, keep it fresh. I don't even really remember exactly how the system worked back in Fable 1, so I'll have to revisit that when we get the retro there. But I also they said there's 1,000 NPCs all with a individual name, some sort of personality or story to them. Not necessarily a story like a quest or anything, but you can follow them around. They all have a schedule, so all very like I remember that's like a very Oblivion marketing kind of thing, was like every single NPC you can follow them around and they have a job and they go to this place and that place. But it's fun stuff, and especially when you like Oblivion doesn't have all the ability to buy all these shops. You could buy like a house and upgrade it, but in this you can buy all sorts of houses, change the furniture out, evict people, rent it out to people, put your family in it, have kids, all these like extra levels of detail that like Elder Scrolls and stuff don't have. And so to combine the schedule part with all that sim element is going to be really fun. You like buying houses, buying businesses I just mentioned. I love too, like one of the businesses that they went up to in this trailer to purchase was a toy store. And I just, I love that. How many games do you know to have like a toy store that you can go into? Like name one.
Yeah.
Kirklin.
Fable. You got me there.
I think, so many games, especially like RPG, fantasy things, it's like every place you can go into is it's like, this is the weapon shop. This is where you buy food and potions. And like maybe in Elder Scrolls, okay, we have like a bookstore, which is like not quite a, you know, critical to the whatever. It's just like that's kind of a more for lore one. But like having a toy store, like that's just a cute, fun idea. And you know, you can go in there and buy a gift for your like 14th kid's birthday, and like that seems fun. Like I love that level of detail. Like I really enjoy that kind of thing. You can hire employees, check in to see how they're doing, probably fire them, probably give them promotions, things like that.
Yeah.
All the reputation stuff. Like I just can't wait to dig into some of that stuff. I don't know how we're gonna get all the gold to buy all these places, but I'll find out a way, I guess.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, one mechanic that I absolutely loved in that OG was when you would get like, I can't remember. I think they had like a speech stat or something like that. It was like guile, perhaps, where it affects your stealth and your like your prices that you can get in shops. So I would like pretty much always max that, and then I would like go about where, okay, in this area, whether it's, I don't know, where the Balverines are, like that area of the world, like the price of chickens is like really cheap here. So then I would buy a shit ton and then like go to Bowerstone
right.
and then like sell,
Stuff,
because there was like an economy system like that, and that's how I would make like a shit ton of money, especially once you get money. Like you could just buy like a shit ton of gems in this one area and then go to a different area. Obviously it's not like an early game mechanic because you don't have the money to do that, but like I just remember raking in so much money in that game, and like that was very basic, bare bones compared to like what it seems this is going to be. Like, am I going to be able to just buy and sell stuff with like any of these NPCs? Like, am I just be able to buy their shoes that they have on their toes? I don't know, but that's something I'm excited to explore.
Yeah, I mean the city of Bowerstone that we were kind of highlighted on in this showcase, like it looked huge, right? Like, there's a whole castle area. There's like different parts of the town. There's even like a bunch of houses on over like this huge bridge. I wonder if we can go in every single building, because that's the thing in Fable, like the original Fable, you can go in like every single building. Does that sound correct? Or maybe there's a couple that are like outside the loading zone that like just to make the town look bigger, but like you can't actually walk up to the doors or anything. But like that level of detail, and even like I remember going into houses and like stealing stuff, or you know, breaking down the door, finding things like that, and then obviously you can like buy every house and rent them. So I assume that's going to be the case here, and I hope that is. I hope it's not just like sometimes it happens in an Obsidian game where it's like, okay, it's a cool, decent sized town, but you can go in like 3 buildings, you know, that are like critical to like certain quests and things. And so I hope for these towns that we can at least go in. I'm not gonna ask for every single building, but I'll just say like most of them. I hope we can go most of them, because I think that's also kind of crucial for what this game is pitching too. If every character has a house, has a job, has a place they go to, you would think that would be a place that you would be able to follow them into and things like that. So hopefully it lives up to the hype in that way. But also like multiple towns, I'm curious to see how big they are. But that is, by far the thing I'm most excited for. And honestly, I didn't think they would like nail it this much. So obviously it remains to be seen how good this stuff is in the game. But like I thought maybe we'd get like some of these details, but it'd be kind of its new thing, probably be focused on combat in the open world. But it seems like, who needs an open world when you have a town in Fable? Like that seems to be where the heart and soul of this game is, at least off this one's showcase. Even like the blacksmithing mini game looks simple, but I think that looks really fun. I can't wait to be working in the blacksmith shop that I buy someday. And like I wonder what other kind of mini games there are for like, hey, they should import the ceramics making mini game from Kiln. You can have a ceramics shop as well. That would be great. Cool. So honestly, the more we talk about this, the more excited I get. I just hope that it's an overall package that's as exceptional as like some of this stuff looks. And if that is the case, really impressed. I mean, the fact that Playground's made nothing but racing games for how many years, and they're coming in and like seems to be making a really cool, unique RPG that's gonna like stand apart from like Kingdom Come or Elder Scrolls or these other things that are coming out these days, I think is like really impressive. So hopefully they stick the landing. We'll find out in the fall. But yeah, anything we didn't mention here that you want to bring up here with Fable?
Not so much. Maybe I missed it, but did they mention like augments and stuff that you can get to your weapons? Because that was a big part of the first game, is you could get like silver additions that would like really help you against Balverines and stuff like that, and like it would make certain sections of the game like a cakewalk if you had it, or if you like really specialized in one play style, you're just gonna get destroyed when you're facing like a certain weapon type. They don't really go too much into that, so I imagine it will be in there.
We never really saw like a menu. Like we didn't like go in the character's inventory and like look at their stuff. So I mean they did say that every enemy type has like strengths and weaknesses, so you have to find what those are. So I imagine in the context of this trailer it was more like, oh, like this one's weak to fire, so you throw a fire attack at it. But I imagine that'll also extend to the weaponry, especially if you can literally blacksmith stuff. I'm sure you can go and like put those augments in yourself. So I imagine we'll see
Right.
stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see more of that. You mentioned like the ghost with like the little lantern, the door would
Mhm.
open, and that's like your spot to shoot. There was another section where they're using like a bow and arrow, and they like shoot them in the knee, and it like makes the enemy fall over. That wasn't really in the OG game, so that's kind of cool.
Right.
More like just strategic areas that you might be
Yeah.
targeting if like an enemy's running at you. So I like that addition.
Good point. I feel like Fable, compared to some other action combat RPG things, like has always had really good feedback when you hit someone. Like I can just picture in my head when you get like a big hit on an enemy and they like do a little torpedo like flying
Yeah.
onto the ground or whatever. Like hits feel very chunky, and so adding that that extra little detail of like weak spots or like hitting things that will knock them on the ground in that way, that almost feels like less cartoony and more like realistic as well, which seems to fit the tone of this overall. So good
Yeah.
call out there. I think there are some things to be excited about with the combat. Just I think the main issue I think for both of us is the frame rate. So and that's hard to
Yeah.
say if it will actually look like that when the game comes out. So we'll see.
Another thing that I do hope they have in here, which I really loved in that first game, was the arena.
Yes.
It was like a level in that OG game, of course, just like going through different waves, but like after you finish that level, you could just go do the arenas, and it would be a big thing where like you could stay in, and then you'd like multiply your money that you're having, or you could exit, get some health potions or whatever you might need, and then get ready for the next round, but you'll lose like the bonus for staying in there.
Right.
Really really fun, and this gameplay, it looks a little bit more in depth than what that OG one was. I would love to go in there and just do some waves of the arena, take on Thunder or their equivalent to Thunder in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I hope we get some of that stuff too, and I wonder what other like because they kind of hinted at that the characters are gonna come back in a way, or like I don't know what that means exactly. But I feel like they said that about enemies, but I feel like they were maybe hinting at that in some of the character stuff as well. I mean, they said there's the Heroes Guild like in Bowerstone, so obviously
Yeah,
really excited to see what that looks like. I don't know if that's gonna be a similar thing where you actually age up through there, because again we did see a section where you're walking around as like a kid, so we'll see if they go for that same storyline, or if they. I feel like most people these days want you kind of like get quicker into the action of it, like into that, like skip some of that story stuff. But maybe they want to do something like that. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, Fable coming out in the fall. We'll see when that is. Hopefully, like maybe like nice September could be good. A couple months before GTA, I think would probably be wise for them to get a little bit of ways from that if they can manage that. Hopefully, it doesn't get delayed. We'll see what happens. But yeah, there you go. There's Fable and the Xbox Developer Direct in general. This is a fun episode, as is usual. Kirklin, thank you for joining me. Everyone listening, thank you for doing exactly that. And we'll be back again next week, as we always are. Have a good one. Bye-bye.